So I'm going to take a moment and just explain to you the philosophy and principles of how we look at the body, so that when we go through the movements and do everything that we do, it doesn't seem random.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
So we, unlike other practices, we have a nervous system based approach. So what that means is the way you move your body around is all happening unconsciously. Especially when you're running, you shouldn't have to think about, I'm gonna contract my quads, I'm gonna contract my calves. You know, you think about all these things, you're gonna be a robot, and you're really not gonna get into that flow state that running actually offers. So the way I like to explain this entire concept is I use a detour analogy. So let's say, for example, you're coming from your place to here today, and it's your first time getting here, so you input our address to the GPS, and it'll bring you to the most efficient pathway to get here, right? So let's say, you know, it takes 20 minutes, you get on the highway, good. Let's say you start coming here more often. After a couple of weeks, you no longer need to use the GPS. You get in the car, next thing you know, you're here, and you didn't even know how you got here.
Totally.
Right? Now, let's say, for example, you start driving one day, and instead of the normal path that you take, there's a detour. It reroutes you to the right, and you hit a bunch of different potholes. You hit a bunch of stop signs, and it's just a less comfortable experience, and you get here, and it takes you 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But if you start driving again the next day, and it's still the same detour, another 40 minutes, you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, totally.
After a while, now that becomes the only way you know how to get here.
Yeah.
So these detours happen through our entire life, through the different experience that we have physically, even emotionally. That can have, the trauma that we feel emotionally can also have an effect on our physical body.
Totally.
So I would say, even though we didn't give a comprehensive list of different detours, having multiple ankle sprains in the past, maybe that's something your body had been accustomed to and compensated for it. But that's your first set of detour, because you have an ankle sprain, you're gonna limp for a bit. And after you limp, even though it fixes itself, you might still hold on to a little percentage of that limp. And that over time, when you stress it through higher level activities, you may start to develop other issues. So it sounds like maybe the IT band issue that you've experienced right now is the beginning of another detour. Right? And even before that, we can even make the argument that the wrist fractures that you had is also another detour. And you're in a sling. So if you're sling, you see, you don't rotate your body the same way. And if you don't rotate your upper body the same way, now that changes the flow of your legs too. So even though they may seem a little bit far away from the injury site, that still might be a relevant puzzle piece that we could be looking at. Right? So that's kind of how we look at body in terms of compensations and detours, and how comprehensive we can make it. So let's look at a third detour. You start driving on that 40-minute path, and suddenly that's blocked off. You hit a left. This new detour, luckily for you, brought you down to a shortcut. You miss the potholes, and you get here 15 minutes. So highly efficient, way better. And as humans, we always want to do things that's going to be more efficient or less painful. That's how we evolve as species. So what do? You're going to want to take that same detour again, over and over again, until now that becomes your new pathway, right? So this is what we're going to try to do for you today. We're going to watch you move. We're going to take off your socks. We're going to watch the mechanics of how your body move around as you take one step forward, as you bend over. And we're trying to figure out, how does your body accomplish all these tasks? And we might take videos, or well, we already taken a video. And we can watch the pattern that you're going through, and also any kind of pain or discomfort that you're experiencing. Then we introduce a detour for you. And that detour could us be using some of these wedges on the foot, sort of like what we talked about previously, to have you experience your body maybe differently. And you might say, oh, when I do it this way, I actually don't feel that discomfort that I was feeling before. I don't feel that tightness in my wherever that I was feeling before. Great, that's a sign of that detour. Now you do this over and over again, your body remembers that neurologically, and it changes for you. And now every single time you take a step, it would inhabit this new pattern. And that's really how we can make really fast results for our clients, especially if there's not a lot of inflammation that happens. So